Turkish newspapers reporting missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi recorded his own murder on his Apple Watch. A U.S. congressional source confirmed this information to CBS News. Khashoggi is a Washington Post contributor and a frequent critic of the Saudi government. He was last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last Tuesday. Now, the Saudis have called allegations they murdered Khashoggi baseless. But in a new interview with 60 Minutes correspondent Lesley Stahl, President Trump says he's ready to punish the Saudis if it turns out the government ordered the murder.
Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist, the Saudi journalist, was he murdered by the Saudis, and did the prince give the order to kill him?
Well, nobody knows yet, but we'll probably be able to find out. It's being investigated. It's being looked at very, very strongly. We would be very upset and angry if that were the case. As of this moment, they deny it, and they deny it vehemently. Could it be them? Yes.
Jared, your son-in-law, got on the phone and asked the prince. Did he deny it? They
deny it. They deny it every way you can imagine. In the not too distant future, I think we'll know an answer.
What are your options? Let's say they did. What are your options? Would you consider imposing sanctions as a bipartisan group of senators have proposed?
Well, it depends on what the sanction is. I'll give you an example. They are ordering military equipment. Everybody in the world wanted that order. Russia wanted it. China wanted it. We wanted it. We got it, and we got all of it, every bit of it.
So would you cut that off?
Well, I tell you what I don't want to do. Boeing, Lockheed, Raytheon, all these I don't want to hurt jobs. I don't want to lose an order like that. And you know, there are other ways of punishing, to use a word that's a pretty harsh word, but it's true.
Tell everybody what's at stake here. You know,
there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake, and maybe especially so because this man was a reporter. There's something, you'll be surprised to hear me say that, there's something really terrible and disgusting about that if that were the case. So we're going to have to see. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and there will be severe punishment.
You can see all of Lesley Stahl's interview with President Trump Sunday on 60 Minutes. That's on CBS, of course. Daniel Lippman is a reporter for Politico and co-author of Politico Playbook. He joins me now from Washington. Daniel, we just heard the president tell Lesley Stahl there's a lot at stake. What is at stake here? Help us understand the U.S. Saudi relationship.
So, you know, primarily it's an oil and national security relationship because we buy oil from the Saudis. Even though the U.S. has become a big producer of oil, we still depend on that oil from Saudi Arabia to, you know, stabilize the world a little bit. And in terms of national security, they have been a pretty stable, institution country in the Middle East, and that's helped keep the region pretty calm in terms of the Saudi relationship. There hasn't been civil war in Saudi Arabia, but I think Trump has to really think about whether how we should shape our relationship with Saudi Arabia going forward, because clearly they have likely committed this grave crime that a lot of senators, both Republicans and Democrats, want, you know, hell to pay, because, you know, this is 2018. You don't expect a Washington Post columnist to go into a ally's consulate and get hacked up to death.
Daniel, are there Trump family business relationships in Saudi Arabia that may color the outcome of these negotiations and this investigation?
That's a great point, Tony. But, you know, that's true that Trump has said that he's made a lot of money off the Saudis. Saudi rich royal family members and, you know, regular wealthy citizens have bought Trump apartments in New York and other places, other Trump properties. But this is, I think it's less about the relationship in terms of business and more about how the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself and Jared Kushner especially, they've propped up MBS, the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia, to in the last year or so as this great reformer. And yet they've been really disappointed, and the world has been shocked that someone who's wanted to modernize the country was resorting to this medieval type of crime. And so I think that's part of it. We should also getting back to your earlier point, the Saudis have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at Trump Hotel, buying rooms up in a great quantity, even though they also like to stay at the Four Seasons here in Washington.
Another dimension to all this is the fact that it comes as Turkey convicted but then released an American pastor there, Andrew Brunson of North Carolina. How big of a diplomatic triumph is it for the president to have that pastor home?
I think it's a good victory for Trump because he's made a priority of getting Americans who were kidnapped to get them home. And so our relationship with Turkey is looking a little better today. And also, I think we should remember that the Turks, they've had their own democratic slide in terms of being much more authoritarian in the last year or so. But they seem to be doing a good job in trying to ascertain what happened to Jamal. And they're putting the pressure on. But they also need America's help because they don't want to antagonize Saudi Arabia so much that they lose them as someone that they can work with. And so if we basically play an important role in reassuring the Turks that we will be there no matter what, and that we support their investigation and that we can send FBI agents or whatever they want to really show to the Saudis that, hey, they've said that this guy left the consulate. There's been no video of it. And Bob Corker's been very strong on that point, saying, well, we have tape of him going in, but you're saying that they just live stream this tape. They don't actually take tape records, which is just ridiculous of him supposedly leaving the consulate.
Yeah, of course, there's also a election coming up in the not-too-distant future, and President Trump has stepped up rallies. At one of those rallies recently, he spoke about Brunson. He also spoke about the confirmation of Supreme Court pick Brett Kavanaugh. It's been a big news week, you can see. I want to play some of that sound, and then we'll talk on the other side.
America watched as we proudly swore in the newest member of the United States Supreme Court, Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Did he get treated badly and unfairly, or what? Horrible. And I'll tell you what, he's done us a tremendous service. The way they treated him, I've never seen anybody treated like that. But he's done us a great service because we are more energized as Republicans than ever, I think ever before.
Daniel, I've got a two-parter for you here. First, how representative of the Republican base in general is the energy at a Trump rally? And two, can that energy translate to some sort of meaningful difference in the midterm votes?
As Trump has lasted as president, he has really taken a big chunk of the Republican Party that was skeptical of him at first and may not have even voted for him and transformed them into people that support his agenda. But I would say that the people you saw at Trump's rallies, they are mostly the people that have gone to Trump's rallies in the past. And so it's not a lot of moderate voters. And so, of course, as a political party, you need to turn out your base. But Democrats are running lots of people who are not traditional candidates for the Democratic side in terms of veterans and small business owners and people who have served the country in other ways, and so it's not the traditional lawyer and local politician, and so that is making it harder for Republicans to break through, especially with the vast amount of money Republicans are getting outraised by millions of dollars. We've had a couple stories for Politico and the New York Times saying that, look at Beto O'Rourke, $38 million.
Wow. Well, at what point is it time to panic if you're a Republican operative or a Republican candidate?
I think they feel a little better that the Kavanaugh stuff energized their base, but there's a new poll that's saying it energized Democrats slightly more, and so hard to say exactly. But I think Republicans have been panicking for since the start of the year. And so they are going to maybe wake up on Wednesday after Election Day, and they might have lost the House and could lose the Senate. And so it's much less likely to lose the Senate, but we're talking 40 to 50 seats potentially still, even though Republicans have had some gains. But a lot of the more enthusiastic members of the GOP base, they already have congressmen that are in safe Republican seats, so it doesn't really matter if they are more, pumped up.
All right. Daniel Lippman of Politico for us in Washington. Daniel, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony.